What is it with the LCBO, aka the Liquor Corruption Bureaucracy of Ontario, and Islam? Don't touch that dial, folks. So the latest issue of the LCBO's Vapid and Vacuous Food and Drink magazine is out. Now, it's egregious enough that the Ontario government is in the liquor retailing business, but it's absolutely beyond the pale that the province is in the magazine publishing business as well. After all, the government has absolutely no mandate to publish a periodical that competes with private sector magazines. Government's role, after all, is to tax and regulate. That's it. And so much for Premier Ford's oft-repeated 2018 election slogan of Ontario open for business, unless his definition of business is government-controlled monopolies. Oh, and his own family-owned deco labels, of course. But I digress, because if you can actually stomach the dreck between the covers of Food and Drink, you'll find that the prime directive of the magazine is to suggest pairings of food and drink, hence the magazine's name. And the drink, of course, is alcohol. That's the LCBO's bailiwick, after all, being a liquor control board. However, because Food and Drink magazine is a government-owned and operated periodical, it is also painfully politically correct and wearily woke. But you know something? Isn't it fabulous to see government woke folk paint themselves into a corner thanks to their insatiable lust of striving for diversity and inclusion? In that regard, check out the spring issue of Food and Drink, which is creatively entitled The Spring Issue. You see, on page 24, there's an article regarding the Islamic holiday of Ramadan, which kicked off earlier this month. Right off the bat, does anyone see an issue here? The LCBO doesn't sell food, of course, but it does sell alcohol, and lots of it. How is it possible that the dim-witted staff at Booze Inc. might be the only ones in the province who don't realize that practicing Muslims aren't supposed to drink beer, wine, and spirits? Hello? In any event, here's where things get interesting. When it's time for Ramadan fasting to end, Food and Drink suggests partaking in such marvelous edibles as hearty lamb, legume soup, and a funnel cake type fritter called zulbia. That sounds delicious, but what does one wash it down with? Is it perhaps one of the 4 beverages depicted above the Ramadan story, namely 19 Crimes Snoop Dogg Cali Rosé, or Flying Monkey's Space Age Sunshine Orange Creamsicle Quadruple IPA, or Campari Negroni, or Corona Tropical Cactus and Lime? None of which are non-alcoholic, by the way. Man, I'm so confused. So I reached out to the ever-helpful Hello LCBO live chat line. By the way, do you know even if you are first in the Hello LCBO queue, you still have to wait an eternity to speak with an LCBO humanoid? My guy turned out to be Sean. I asked him if that aforementioned fantastic foursome of beer, wine, and spirits was suitable for my upcoming Ramadan party. Sean stated the following, quote, "Juices from your local grocery store will have a variety that will match your flavor profile of your meal plan," end quote. Wait a second. The whole idea of Food and Drink magazine is to move the boozy merchandise, and the LCBO sure isn't in the fresh juice business. Rather, it's in the fermented juice business. I went on to ask Sean several times, in fact, why he was suggesting I should go to a grocery store as opposed to an LCBO store. And why should I buy juice as opposed to hooch for my Ramadan celebrations? Now, I was playing dumb here, of course, which is admittedly very easy for me. And several times over, all Sean would say is this, quote, "Please consult with your Muslim guess why," end quote. But why wouldn't Sean himself state the bloody obvious? Why couldn't he simply say that devout Muslims are not supposed to consume liquor? What's wrong with that? Or did Sean somehow think that by making such a truthful statement that he be deemed as being Islamophobic? Gee, if that's the case, I guess it must be anti-Semitic to state that Jews aren't supposed to eat pork. Weird. Indeed, it is so bizarre. The LCBO goes uber woke in promoting Ramadan in its liquor magazine and then realizes that maybe implying that beer made by the Flying Monkeys or a rosé from the D-O-double-G Snoop Dogg might not be all that halal. Yet by the same token, the people at Hello LCBO dare not state what just about everyone knows or should know, which is that alcohol is haram for Muslims. Again, it's so weird. You know, it's almost as though the Food and Drink Ramadan article is stating the following. Hey, all you Muslims out there, as you end your fast with a feast of hearty lamb and legume soup, please flip through our magazine to see all the beverages you cannot consume. Oh, nice. In any event, Sean ended up hanging up on me for whatever reason. Customer service excellence. By the way, this isn't the first time the LCBO has suffered a self-inflicted wound when it comes to Islam. A decade ago, when I worked at the Sun News Network, I was tipped off that minors were buying booze at LCBO stores while dressed in face-concealing burqas. I just couldn't believe it, so we decided to test that premise. We visited several LCBO stores with a 15-year-old boy decked out in a burqa. And amazingly, he was able to buy hard liquor, no muss, no fuss. He was never asked to unveil, nor was he asked to provide identification. Check out the video evidence.
A bottle of hooch, or if the LCBO is going to live up to their socially responsible mandate of challenge, and we're going to find out what happens right now.
$13.25, please. No, $31.25.
No challenging reviews there, eh?
No, not even a little bit.
Wow. Oh, by the way, was the LCBO fined or disciplined for selling alcohol to a minor? Are you kidding? Even when breaking the law, Booze Inc. is immune from punishment. The LCBO merely issued a press release promising to do better in the future. But consider this, if a government spy caught a minor buying a pack of cigarettes at the local private sector variety store, and the government does set up sting operations to this effect, well, we're talking big fines. Indeed, the store owner might even be stripped of his tobacco selling license, thus losing his livelihood. But for the LCBO, oopsie. Pinky swear we'll do better next time because we're socially responsible. Yeah, right. Bottom line, when it comes to Islam, the LCBO obviously wants to be woke and inclusive. Even though the LCBO has nothing on its shelves that would appeal to devout Muslims, the LCBO knows this, of course, but it's too terrified to tell the truth for whatever reason. Heck, it's even too terrified to uphold the law of the land when it comes to selling booze to folk clad in a certain identity-concealing piece of clothing, because obeying the law might make the LCBO culturally insensitive? What? Yikes. I think I need a drink, folks. Make it a double, actually. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the Rebel News store doesn't have any trench coats, but I'll tell you what it does have. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, caps, everything you could possibly ask for that loved one on your Christmas list. Please go to the Rebel News store and order your Rebel News merchandise today.